Recently, I found myself in the old habit of not wanting to sit down and edit through a novel. It's a lot of tedious time and work that isn't exactly the fun part of making a story. And as I was feeling this, I had remembered something I'd thought about in the past, which is the concept of the self-improvement that I get from actually sitting down and editing out an entire novel. I figured this would make a good video topic, so here I am to discuss the two concepts that might help you sit down and actually edit through a book while actually enjoying it as well. One of these is going to be more practical, while the other is going to be more emotional, so I'm kind of hoping that this is going to have something for anyone who clicks on the video and they can get something away even if they already have one or the other. So as I touched upon, the first piece of advice is that sense of self-improvement you get sitting down and fully going through an entire novel's editing process. That's enough length that basically by the time you get to the end, you can definitely notice improvement in your own writing and your own editing and grammatical structure going forward. In very literal, visceral things such as a certain sentence structure you've never seen before and learning how it works, or certain punctuation style you've never seen before and you're learning how it works, to things that might not be as easy to grasp but certainly are helping you in the long run, such as having to go up against your own bad habits in your writing and continuously correct them over and over again. What this does is it reinforces the correct way to do something. Something that I'm struggling with right now is the difference between where and where, W-H-E-R-E and W-E-R-E. So having to go through and think about them and look at each of them and just correct each mistake every time I slip up between the two reinforces the correct way to do them in each different situation, and going forward I'm going to make that mistake far less. And I know a lot of people that are just starting out have the problem with the yours. That again is just something you kind of just can look up and see the difference and look at each of them, and then when you're going through something as long as a novel, you might go up against this 100 times over the course, meaning each time you correct it, you're getting that reinforcement in your head of this is how it's properly done in this type of sentence. And that's one of those things that you can relatively easily get to the point where you're making the correct one almost every time. And of course, that sense of self-improvement for someone like me is vitally important. That gives me the feeling that this is worthwhile and that editing, I'm getting better, and the next time I sit down to write, it's going to be more solid from the beginning, meaning I'm going to have to do less editing, which is a good thing. So you're getting speed, which is incredibly important. It's probably the most important thing any artist can have. And then on top of it, you're gaining that sense of self-progression. Even if it's not something that you hold in too much value, writing might not be your number one thing, but you can even kind of look at this in any art form, right? In drawing or video production, all of these have stages like editing where you're just kind of fixing things up or tweaking things or just fixing the mistakes that popped up along the way. But when you are fixing them, you're reinforcing that concept of how to do it correctly the first time. And that sense of progression you're getting is a good feeling, right? You need to be able to have that sense of progression to keep you going, to keep you feeling motivated and good. And that is very helpful even if it's not directly the main thing you want to do. It's the same concept of like sitting down to play a video game. You can improve at the video game and it gives you good feedback and makes you feel good about improving, even though that might not be the most important thing to you at this moment or might not even be your favorite game. That's that sense of progression in general can be a positive thing. So if you get into the right mindset that, oh, this is helping me, or I'm improving, or I'm sharpening my skills, I'm becoming a more fulfilled human being, then you can take that motivation and use it in areas that are more important, or just use that positive reinforcement in such a way that you do better going forward. Even if it just means you're a little happier while you're editing, that in of itself is a pretty good thing to have. You have to do it for a long period of time, so if you're happier and have a more pleasant time actually sitting down and doing it, that's pretty much a win-win. The second more practical piece of advice I want to go over is the concept of editing as you're going. Now, there's a difference between drafts and edits. What I'm really focusing here is just the editing stage. I know that people have draft stages as well, and the newer you are as a writer, the more drafts you're probably going to do and the longer you're going to spend in that stage. But the actual editing stage itself can be used as a beneficial tool while you're actually writing out that first draft, or second draft, or third draft, or wherever you might be. You see, I've gotten a habit with some of my stories to sit down and edit what I had written yesterday, as in to get back into the flow of writing, remember where I was, remember each detail of what I had written down, and just directly go from the editing stage back into the writing stage and continuing on from there. This means when I'm getting towards the end of the book, the editing is primarily done, not entirely, I still have to go over the whole thing again, obviously, but it still is far closer to completion than just going and writing through the whole thing and not worrying about the editing. But more than that, that just beneficial, getting back into the swing of things and just slowly turning your brain back on and getting back into that story is really beneficial and helps you get faster at actually completing those stages and make sure that you're spending your time more wisely. Again, this is probably harder to implement as a newer writer, but people that have already written some stories can probably see how this would be somewhat effective. Moreover than that, in the editing stage itself, while you're doing these things, there's certain tricks or tips you can do that will make the actual editing process smoother. For someone like me that has dyslexia, a voice-to-speech speech option is very, very beneficial. It catches mistakes I'm not able to catch. Moreover than that, when it catches those mistakes, I see the type of mistakes that I just jump over because I can't really read them properly. Meaning I'm going to catch those mistakes going forward more often, but moreover than that, it's catching it when I wouldn't have been able to do it anyway, making the process smoother. Also, just in general, voice to speech is like relatively good if you don't like reading, and I hate reading, so it is a nice thing to use a lot of the time, especially when you just don't feel like sitting down and reading. Just having it read to you is a lot easier. I'm sure there's plenty of other tips and tricks and little dibble dabbles, the zabble dibble, but even discounting some of the tips and tricks that you can do to make the editing process smoother or better, I feel like these two things are the way to get you into that better frame of mind, especially the first step. The first step, getting that good frame of mind and wanting to sit down and edit and wanting to improve yourself, I feel makes a world of difference in actually getting it done and having a enjoyable time doing it. So just reframing this from the thing I have to do in order to finish the thing I actually want to do, instead of reframing it into, oh, this is another step along the way, it's something else I want to do because it will help me get better and stronger, and I can enjoy it if I focus on it in those means. I wanted to make this video to share the concepts, but also making it myself helps me remember these things and helps it keep in the forefront of my mind better. So, you know, that's good. I won't forget it again like I did last time, which it's pretty good, pretty good. If you enjoyed, do the YouTuber things. I'm just going to sip my coffee because I don't care about the outro at all. Do like, comment, subscribe, share the video. I don't know, share, go to social media. I don't care. I don't know. Buy my books. I don't know, fam. Do whatever you want. Or don't do any of those things and just sit down and actually write your book and finish it because you'll feel better about yourself. And, you know, that's kind of more important. Thanks. Bye. I believe in you.